Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Liang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. Fires in Northern California continue to rage, and firefighters are battling on. In Southern California, a rare hurricane brought rain to slow one fire, but some other issues came with all that water. A scholarship bribery case for a California university may involve a candidate in Los Angeles' mayoral race. We'll look at what federal prosecutors are looking into. And the state's Department of Education has a reading list with dozens of LGBT books. We'll look at how young some of the intended audiences are. Despite cooler temperatures and much needed rain to Southern California on Saturday, the rest of the state remains dry. In those conditions, firefighters continued battling the mosquito fire farther north.
As of Monday morning, the mosquito fire burned over 46,000 acres and remains only 10% contained since the weekend. The wildfire has already forced people to evacuate from their homes since Wednesday. One resident of Forest Hill hosed down his and his neighbors' roofs as the blaze approached their property a few days ago.
They were literally 200 to 300 feet in the air above the tree. And that was being 200, 300 yards back from where they were at.
The mosquito fire, which has been burning for 5 days east of Sacramento, continued expanding. Approximately 6,000 homes in both Placer and El Dorado counties remain threatened due to the fire.
Yeah, my brother just laid down for an hour. We haven't slept in 3 days. I got to get this watered down.
According to the local sheriff's office, 11,260 people have been evacuated from both Placer and El Dorado counties.
And the firemen, they knew what they had to do and they went right back to it. They got with the program.
On Sunday, an elderly couple were stuck on the inside of the fire line in Volcanoville with their 2 dogs in a vehicle that was disabled. A local deputy responded and rescued the couple and their dogs. And at the 28,000 Fairview fire, southeast of Los Angeles, steady rain helped firefighters make significant progress overnight. The fire sits at 53% containment, according to CAL FIRE. However, officials warned that high winds from the remnants of Tropical Storm K could fan the flames of the fire. Highs in Southern California were mostly expected to stay under 90 degrees after days of oppressive heat cooked much of the state. The National Weather Service said temperatures hit a daily heat record of 101 degrees at Los Angeles International Airport on Friday.
North of Los Angeles in Lake Hughes, mudslides trapped 24 cars over the weekend after a thunderstorm. At around 7:40 p.m. on Saturday, fire units arrived at Pine Canyon Road to help people and cars stuck in mud and debris flow. Authorities used Firehawk helicopters with the night vision technology to locate them. They rescued a total of 24 vehicles and 53 people from 5 different sites spread across several miles of the road. No one was injured. The storms came as a rare hurricane crawled northward up the Pacific coast of Mexico. The FBI is looking for information on its newest addition to their top 10 most wanted fugitive list, Michael James Pratt. The Bureau is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to his whereabouts.
Michael James Pratt is the co-owner of a San Diego-based pornography website. The Justice Department charged him with sex trafficking of a minor, and producing child pornography, as well as fraud and coercion. He allegedly helped recruit young women and girls by offering $3,000 to $5,000 for one-day adult video shoots. The FBI accuses him and others involved of locking women in rooms and forcing them into lewd acts. Pratt's co-owner Matthew Isaac Wolf faced trial in July. He pleaded guilty to sex trafficking and other offenses. Authorities are asking anyone with information to reach out by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov.
A candidate for the mayor of Los Angeles received a scholarship that is critical to federal prosecutors in a bribery case. The case involves trading favors in exchange for more federal funding.
Representative Karen Bass, the leading contender in the race for mayor of Los Angeles, received university scholarship money that has been linked to a bribery case. The Los Angeles Times reported that she is one of two influential politicians who received full tuition scholarships valued at nearly $100,000 from the University of Southern California's, or USC's, social work program. Federal prosecutors have not indicated Bass is under criminal investigation. Prosecutors have declared that Bass's scholarship and her dealings with USC are critical to their bribery case, as well as their broader portrayal of corruption in the university's social work program. The other recipient of the scholarship is the son of L.A. politician Mark Ridley Thomas. Ridley Thomas was indicted in the case along with Marilyn Flynn, the former dean of the University of Southern California's social work program. The prosecutor's filing states that by awarding Bass free tuition in 2011, Flynn hoped to obtain the Congresswoman's assistance in passing legislation. According to prosecutors, Bass sponsored a bill in Congress that would have expanded USC's and other private universities' access to federal funding for social work, quote, just as defendant Flynn wanted. The revelation hits as Bass is heading into the final weeks of her campaign for mayor of Los Angeles with Rick Caruso. Bill Thomas, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Every 2 years, we go to the polling station and vote on all kinds of ballot measures that could have a significant impact on our lives and our communities in the years to come. But most of the time, many people have no idea about what we're voting for. A former mayor explains why that's the case.
Midterm elections are coming up. Jim Righeimer, former mayor of Costa Mesa, explains to California Insider's Siamak Karami how Californians are tricked on ballot measures.
What's actually going to be seen by the voters, the title and summary, is you turn it into the Attorney General's office, but the Attorney General then goes ahead and can rewrite it or adjust it and give it back to you. So after you spent all this money, got all these signatures, and all of a sudden you find out that the Attorney General wrote your title and summary, which is completely different than what you thought you were going for.
An example he brought up is when the gas tax was high. The legislature raised the gas tax. The public was against it, so they collected signatures.
It costs a fortune in a state like California, 40 million people, to collect the signatures. They do all the work, and the initiative was to get rid of that gas tax or to lower the gas tax. The Attorney General got it, and what did the Attorney General say? It says this initiative will take away all the money needed for road repairs, for bridge repairs, for safety. It's like, well, no, it was the gas tax issue. They just turned it on its head. So when you went in to vote, you were voting to get rid of any money for repairing roads and bridges. It made no sense.
Righeimer says politics has played a big role in influencing bills, and that the conversation should be about spending money on things people want rather than personal interest.
To watch the full program, find California Insider on YouTube or Epic TV on the Epic Times website. As California students head back to school this year, they may encounter books and materials promoting transgenderism. It will be available for children as young as preschool and kindergarten.
The California Department of Education's recommended reading list includes a section called Gender/Sexuality. On that list, dozens of books on LGBT topics, transgenderism, and gender ideology are promoted for use in classrooms. Some of the books in the collection include Julian is a Mermaid, Love is Love, a story about gay relationships aimed at first graders, and I'm Not a Girl, a transgender story also aimed at first graders. In a statement to the Epic Times, Betsy McCaughey, an author and former New York lieutenant governor, said these books don't belong in our elementary schools. Gender dysphoria is an extremely rare affliction. Those who have it deserve our respect and sympathy, but telling all children about it is unnecessary, confusing to them, and hurtful. According to a June 2022 study by UCLA's Williams Institute, about 0.6% of the U.S. population over age 13, or about 1.6 million people, identify as transgender. A growing number of individuals known as detransitioners are leaving the transgender movement, often regretting permanent harm done to their bodies.
We are going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. Despite all the state's spending, homelessness in Los Angeles continues to go up. That's according to the recent point-in-time count. The company responsible for an oil spill in Southern California last year will pay tens of millions of dollars in fees. But the Attorney General is not done with lawsuits against the energy company. And a car collector showed off his garage to our reporters. We'll hear what drives him to gather these classic vehicles. That and more on California Today. Despite more spending on supportive housing for the homeless, the number of homeless in Los Angeles continues to rise.
The number of homeless individuals in Los Angeles County rose 4.1% since 2020, according to the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. That's counting over 69,000 homeless countywide and 42,000 in the city of Los Angeles. The increase in homelessness comes as both the city and state have spent billions of dollars on solving the issue. According to the previous count in 2020, the county's homeless population increased by 12.7% over the previous year. The city's homeless population increased by 14.2%. That comes after Angelenos voted for Proposition HHH in 2016, a $1.2 billion bond to create 10,000 permanent supportive housing units. Since the proposition has passed, the city has created just over 1,100 units, or 14% of what was promised. The most recent project is Project Homekey, in which Governor Gavin Newsom announced almost $700 million to homeless projects in the state. $277 million went to Los Angeles. Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher said Project Homekey is, quote, akin to putting a Band-Aid on a severed limb.
The company behind last year's oil spill off the coast of Southern California pleaded guilty last week to misdemeanor charges. The Attorney General said it may be one of the most expensive misdemeanor charges in one county's history.
Amplify Energy and two of its subsidiaries, Beta Operating Co. and San Pedro Bay Pipeline Co., pleaded guilty on Thursday to negligently discharging about 25,000 gallons of crude into the ocean. Following a plea agreement to misdemeanor charges with federal prosecutors, U.S. District Judge David O. Carter sentenced the company to pay a $7.1 million fine and $5.8 million to reimburse the Coast Guard. In a Wednesday statement, Attorney General Rob Bonta said, "This is a historic and believed to be the largest state misdemeanor criminal file in Orange County history." Bonta and Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer additionally filed a misdemeanor criminal complaint against Amplify Energy the same day. In a statement, Amplify President CEO Martin Wilshire said the company has ensured from the start that it was, quote, working cooperatively with the various agencies investigating this incident. The underwater pipeline ruptured in October 2021, causing a temporary closure of beaches and fisheries.
California's last nuclear power plant has gained a new lease on life. That's after the governor signed a bill last week to continue funding the plant.
With Governor Gavin Newsom's signature on Senate Bill 846 last week, the state legislature has agreed to spend $1.4 billion to keep California's last nuclear power plant open. The funds will help reverse plans to close Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant by 2025. The extension will allow the operation of the plant until at least 2030. Democratic Senator Bill Todd, who introduced the bill, said that this bill is an essential step toward preventing rolling blackouts and increased electricity prices. The operator of the plant, PG&E, said that the company remains committed to the state's clean energy plans while safely operating the plant. The decision to keep Diablo Canyon open is spurred by California's energy shortage. Over the Labor Day weekend, California was hit by a prolonged heat wave. Newsom declared a state of emergency on the last day of August and asked residents to conserve energy. The legislation earned overwhelming bipartisan approval in both houses.
More marijuana-related protection may be coming to the state. The governor now has a choice to sign marijuana-related legislation that will make it so employers could not take actions against workers for consuming the drug outside of work.
A bill that makes it illegal for employers to discriminate against people who use marijuana while away from work awaits Governor Gavin Newsom's signature by the end of September. The California Cannabis Industry Association told the Epoch Times the bill still allows employers to use tests to determine whether someone is under the influence of cannabis while actively on the job. The California Chamber of Commerce said, according to bill analysis, California employers may face liability when they take legitimate disciplinary measures against their employees. Citizens Against Legalizing Marijuana, an organization working to oppose the legalization of marijuana in California and other states, agreed with the chamber and called the bill, quote, unsafe.
While most people who own a car do so just for transportation, a select few have another passion. NTD's Jackie Rios spoke to a car collector who has a flair for American tradition and memorabilia.
For some people, being a collector is more than just a hobby. It's a passion that takes time, energy, and commitment. We visited with Kastner's Corner Garage to find out more about what it takes to become a collector. Robert Kastner, the owner of the garage, has been collecting classic cars for about 20 years. His collection is not just limited to cars, but also American memorabilia. He fell in love with the cars when they were far out of his league.
I would hang out at the local A&W Rupture stands back in the 60s, and I would watch the cruisers come in and out, and I would fall in love with all of them. At that time, of course, I worked at a car wash for 70 cents an hour, and I couldn't afford any of them, and now I can.
Kastner's collection is more than just classics. He owns a Rolls Royce that was once property of two former household names in rock and roll.
Well, it belonged to Phil Spector, and it was given to him by one of the Beatles, John Lennon, and that's the history that I know about it.
To find such unique pieces, he's had to travel all across the country.
I've gone to New York, I've gone to all the way up and down the East Coast, all the way down to Mississippi, and collecting mostly the lollipop signs that you see here with a trailer behind my truck. And on the way I stop and find other treasures.
And as Kastner's collection grew, so did his need for real estate.
I decided to get a larger property because I wanted more cars. And I had a garage at home that would not facilitate more than two. I purchased this property, and it was actually a scrapyard, a car scrapyard, and I renovated it into what I have today.
Despite the pristine state of the cars, he said it's not as expensive as one may think.
Yes, it is. If you do not plan on driving it more than a couple hundred miles a year, it's very affordable. I have every one of my cars are insured. There's collector car insurance companies that I use.
Kastner is looking forward to meeting new car collecting enthusiasts.
I would say if you're anywhere near Pomona, California, please go to the Pomona Swap Meet. That's my mall. I love that place. And they have any car, any part, pretty much anything you want that, as far as collectible.
As for his own cars, he just plans to keep on going.
Of course. It never ends.
From vintage automobiles to legendary memorabilia, Kastner's Corner Garage is a trip down memory lane. Jackie Rios, NTD News, California.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you your California Today Sports Roundup. Trey Lance can probably already feel backup quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo breathing down his neck. Debuting in his role as San Francisco's starting quarterback, Lance completed less than half of his passing attempts with 1 interception to no touchdown passes. He was also sacked twice for a dismal QB rating on the day of 43.1. Mirroring Lance on the other side of the field was Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields, who was taken 8 spots after Lance in the 2021 draft. The Ohio State product showed a natural feel for the game despite being surrounded by lesser talent, slinging 2 Favre touchdown passes while on the move and carrying for 28 yards. On a rain-dredged Soldier Field in Chicago, Lance started the day looking like the better of the two. He completed 6 of his first 9 passing attempts and maneuvered the offense into position for Deebo Samuel to score San Francisco's only touchdown of the game. The 49ers would close the half leading 7-0 and increase their lead to 10 with another field goal on their first drive of the third quarter, but soon after they woke up the sleeping Bears. Chicago rattled off 19 unanswered points in the second half, scoring 3 touchdowns, but missing on 2 extra point attempts. This was a wet one the whole game, but after Khalil Herbert scored Chicago's 3rd touchdown halfway through the 4th quarter, the skies opened up and unleashed a torrential downpour of its own, all but dooming the 49ers offense. Although San Francisco's defense stood strong, holding Chicago to under 20 points, the offense was inconsistent at best. In order for this team to reach the heights tethered to it at the season's outset, Lance needs to show up for 2 halves of football, not just one. The 49ers will attempt to get their first win of the season against the Seattle Seahawks at Levi Stadium next Sunday. Bears 19, 49ers 10. Justin Herbert shined in Los Angeles' season-opening matchup against their AFC West opponent, the Las Vegas Raiders. Herbert threw for 279 yards with 3 touchdowns to no interceptions, completing 26 of his 34 passing attempts. The Chargers defense took a bend-but-don't-break approach to the Raiders' new-look offense featuring former Green Bay Packer Davante Adams. Adams soaked up 17 targets for 10 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown, but no other receiver was targeted more than 6 times by Raiders QB Derek Carr. Perhaps this was due to the Raiders wanting to get Adams' feet wet in the offense, but their over-reliance on just 1 target yielded a completion rate of 58%, on par with Derek Carr's overall completion rate of 59%. The Chargers forcing Carr to go again and again to Adams made the Raiders' offense much more one-dimensional, with Las Vegas all but abandoning the run game with just 13 rushing attempts on the day. The Raiders' offense stagnated, and the Chargers took advantage, intercepting Carr thrice and sacking him 5 times. Running back Austin Eckler led the charge for LA, rushing for just 36 yards on 14 carries, but catching another 4 passes for another 36 yards. Veteran wideout Keenan Allen caught all 4 of his targets to add on another 66 yards. A divisional win to open up the season puts LA in the driver's seat early to make the playoffs. The Chargers will try to make it 2 in a row next week when they face another AFC divisional rival, this time in Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers 24, Raiders 19. That's all for California sports. Back to you.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.